Well, it's the next day since our last video. It's still too cold to do anything outside. But another engine we can tear down. And this one is like too new for us. All our other ones we've worked on have been old. This is too much.
Lots of tubes. Tubes and wires.
Too many tubes.
So we're going to tear this one down. This is a Ford Ecoboost 2.7 liter V6 twin turbo from
It's like a 2017 F-150.
F-150. And without really knowing, just looking at it, you can tell it's the one that came in the F-150 because the turbos are mounted towards the back of the cylinder head.
He had a Fusion that had one of these in it.
I had a
Fusion Sport.
I had a 2017 Ford Fusion Sport that had the same engine. When I had this in my Fusion, it was a great engine. I loved it. It's compact, but it still gives you V6 power, and you've got your twin turbos on it. And apparently it does good in the trucks.
Alright, step one, we gotta get it onto the engine stand. We already took the flywheel off. Now we're gonna get the rear main seal off just so those aren't in our way later.
Very complicated engine. Lots of stuff going on. Okay, so after you've taken off the flex plate, this trigger wheel just comes off with it. This is the crank position sensor, so that senses this. It's got obviously got the missing tooth on it. If you're reusing one of these engines, don't forget to put this guy back on because it will not run. And it is an 8mm holding the crank position sensor in there. I have to take that out before I can take this big rear main seal off of here. There we go. That is a heck of a rear main seal.
Mm-hmm.
Going up. Oh yeah, that engine stand doesn't even notice that engine.
No.
So, first thing we're going to do is
I guess we'll start with the wiring harness, get that out of the way.
tackle the electrical.
There's a lot here.
Yep.
This is going to take a while.
That'll be pretty quick. Bam! Goes faster if you make sound effects. So, I know a lot of people are going to look at this and say, I don't know what any of that crap does. But after you've worked on cars long enough, you'll start to be able to just pick out what every little thing is and what it does. And that makes it a lot easier, especially when if you're working on your personal cars for like putting things back together. So, looking at this is your evap purge solenoid. It's an emissions thing. I know that these engines used, at least in these years, used vacuum to control a lot of stuff. You see this line right here go into the turbocharger wastegate actuator. It connects to all kinds of different little solenoids and tubes and stuff because it completely controls the boost using vacuum. So that's why there's so many tiny little vacuum tubes, and they're all pretty important to operation of the engine. This right here, this is being driven off the end of the camshaft. So this is the
Vacuum pump.
the vacuum pump. I had a brain fart. This vacuum pump, you need a vacuum pump on most boosted cars to help power your power brakes.
A lot of modern turbocharged cars, they're under boost so much they can't really get like regular manifold vacuum.
Yeah. So here's another cool tool that I bought. This tool is awesome. It is a tool that's made for pulling difficult connectors. So for instance, let me try to find one I can use it on. Let's say these tiny ones right here that have the clip. All you need to do is push the back of them. That thing gives you so much more leverage rather than trying to do that by hand.
This water tube's gonna get in the way. Already it's kind of in the way, so I'm gonna go ahead and remove it.
And anytime you see any of these tubes like this, it's a quick disconnect and it's got like this white thing. It's not one that's meant to come apart. It's one where you actually press in the center. It's another good way to use this. You can use it to press into the center and then that releases it.
Here's one half of the PCV.
It's got that little, I wonder if that's a check valve or a filter. That's kind of cool. I might keep that. I want to keep a bunch of these hoses.
Yeah, like these things could be useful.
Those things and all these little rubber lines, because we're always looking for random hoses. All right, I'm just gonna make a vacuum pile right there.
Wow.
It's a cool pipe.
Yeah.
It might be useful. Dude, those things are awesome.
That is a full engine harness. Hopefully that'll be something I can sell.
Still good. Maybe somebody needs it. And we got some nice little ground straps we can keep. These, look at those things.
Yeah.
Dude, they're freaking awesome. They're made like this. Like it pushes a button. Considerably less annoying without all that crap in the way.
I need to double check what year this is from. I need to look up the part numbers. Oh, this is a 2018 model year. So I think that was after an update. Because I'm looking at this and I'm like, it has both fuel injectors.
Oh, this is dual fuel.
Yep. I think that was one of the updates they did.
Oh, that's cool. In 2018, they added dual fuel on the trucks?
Yep. And the 5-liter. Hey, we can actually see the engine now. So just to walk you through some of the things that are on here right now. Oil cooler here uses like an extra, like an auxiliary pump. That's the EGR cooler there, so the whole EGR system goes in there. Turbos. We noticed that one of the coils on each side is different, and the guy said this thing had like a misfire, but this is some, like it's, I don't know why, part of it is rubbing off. These are the actual factory ones.
Yeah,
Here's the high pressure fuel pump back here. This thing is, it's hard to tell, but it's got 4 fuel rails in there.
Oh, wow.
Yep. They packed a lot in there.
This is definitely an exercise in packaging.
I'll see if she'll spin over.
Oh, that's a good idea. Not only will she turn over, she's still got plenty of compression.
Yeah, all the plugs are still in it. I'm going to pull the plugs out too.
It's been a while since the timing chain had pressure though.
Wow! No, but these are
Those are like
not even the same at all.
Those are.
So that's aftermarket, that's OE.
Interesting. Plunk. 3 bolts hold the turbo on. Wow, that seal was in there good. There you go. There's a turbo. Tiny little turbo. If you don't know anything about this engine, it's not a normal design for an engine. It's got, you can see right here, an upper and a lower. And the lower on it is aluminum, and the upper is cast iron.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Yeah, these turbos are probably still good. I'll sell these.
Those should still be useful. Remember when I wanted to do the turbos in the car on my Fusion?
That wasn't happening.
Really glad I didn't even try on that one.
These also have the integrated exhaust manifolds. That's why there's only one port here.
Yeah, all 3 of these cylinders come out of this hole. So this is definitely normal for a turbo car. Pretty brown. It's obviously got some oil. But what I'm noticing is these are factory Ford, and they've got the stamp on the end, which typically, if you see colored stamp or paint mark on the tip, that means that it's still a factory spark plug.
Yeah. Look fine.
Yep.
Just old, used. Alright, so looks like to get the valve covers and the manifold off, I gotta get the EGR cooler and assembly out of the way. But I can get that off, and then the valve covers. And then we can work to the front cover. There's a lot of stuff on this engine. Yeah. Well, that's neat. Wow, that goes way in there. That's very dirty. That's how it gets the EGR into the intake manifold. There's the actual cooler. Yeah, so EGR comes in before going back onto all this stuff, and coolant passes through. It comes up here from the water pump. Passes through, probably then goes to the radiator or the heater. Alright, let's have a look at that oil filter. This is one of the cartridge style ones that lots of manufacturers have been adopting. Yeah, so if you've never seen this before, you have this outer cap, this stays, and the filter element is in here. And this is what you replace and throw away every time. I don't see any like metal flake in here, but there's some like carbon dirt built up in there. So far it looks alright. Alright, let's get the intake manifold off of here and see what's underneath. Oh, that's not much there. That's pretty small. Cool. So that's kind of neat. The valve covers act as a lower intake manifold before it gets to the head, the ports. Interesting. Here we have the PFI, the port fuel injected fuel rails are here. So I guess I gotta get the fuel rails off first. There we go.
I showed up just to do this, and
yeah.
then I'm gonna leave again. Just kidding.
There we go. Yeah, not too bad.
Not a crazy amount of slop there. Cams don't look chewed up or anything.
Yeah.
Nice normal wear. I like... Oh, we should pull these up. I like that they make these accessible without having to pull the valve covers, unlike the friggin' Ecoboost 2-liter. This side is extra clean. Looks good.
Let's see if there's anything on these.
These are the VCT solenoids. These, they started putting screens on these, and the screens catch a lot of stuff if there's anything in the oiling system that wasn't...
Oh, that's clean.
Yep. Yeah, so I've pulled these out of cars where this was, half of this was completely covered. Usually those cars, these things stop working. So, no, that's a very good sign. There might not have been a whole lot wrong with this engine. That looks fine. There was a dead wasp in there, of course. That was our protector wasp. And this also. No, these are good.
Alright, I think next we need to work on the front cover.
Oh, well, it's tiny, but when you replace it, or you replace this whole friggin' housing, including the thermostat housing. Looks like you have to take the thermostat off to get that all the way off. Oh, that'll have to stick it right in there. You see it? There's a dowel right here.
Oh.
Come on.
There we go.
There's a big wacky rubber super gasket.
That hasn't been used very much. That's still pretty tight.
They've gotten pretty good at making some of these.
Wow.
Crank. We're still gonna have to pull that off.
Man, they really drive those on there. Wow. Well, here's something. It's not keyed.
What?
It's not keyed.
Really?
Yeah. Hopefully the
Well, I guess it's balanced.
Yeah. Hopefully the timing chain one is.
Well, that one's super extra long and has silicone on the end of it.
big timing cover.
Probably the biggest one I've ever seen.
Yep. Oh, it's got a pickup, or a, sort of an oiling tube built in.
Huh. Oh, that's cool.
And the
There's a lot of
oil cooler runs behind this. Or the line, the channel for it.
Yeah. A whole lot of design went into this engine. Now we've got our timing chains. One thing you'll notice about this, and it's a thing that a lot of people complain about, but honestly it seems to work pretty good, is this wet rubber belt for the oil pump. Personally, I am all for a rubber belt that is bathed in oil.
As long as it's been tested long enough and it's the right material.
They've been doing them for a while.
They do that at GM.
Oh yeah, the 3-liter inline 6, the Duramax inline 6 has one, and looks pretty much exactly the same as that.
Yeah, timing gear is keyed there.
Yeah, they got.
I like this guide here.
I like the teeth that they use. They used more of a pointed tooth. 2 timing chains. That's 1 fewer timing chains than the high feature V6 that GM has. Other than that, I mean, yeah, this is obviously a little bit loose right here, but that's because there's been no oil pressure in this tensioner, and it's loose on this side. So more than likely that was from us trying to start turning backwards, which put tension right here. Because I think the last direction I turned to this was backwards, which would take tension off of that. No, I mean the timing chain looks fine. When you're running and oil's being pumped into these 2 tensioners, you don't have any slop like this. Well, time to take it all apart.
Isn't that what we've been doing?
Yeah, we gotta do it like more though. Is that copyrighted?
Probably. Clink!
Clunk. Now everything's ruined forever. Here you go.
Cool.
And then here you go. Cute little timing gear. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow, that thing's adorable. Look at all the stuff they've got to keep it from coming off.
Yeah.
It's like tapered and stuff.
It's nice and keyed. That's what we want to see.
Yeah, I wish they would have done that on all their 4 cylinders over the years, but I don't exactly know other than just cutting it.
Yeah.
Which actually is another positive reason for going with an oil belt. Because you don't have to do all this crap to get it off. You can just snip and she's done.
Cracking pretty deep in some places.
Oh wow. Yeah, there are definitely some stress cracks that you see in it. But that's just on the rubber part. So the in between the teeth and the backing part is where the actual, like the woven fiber, and that's what holds the teeth in there. The backing part's always gonna crack. I still trust them. I know a lot of people still don't trust them, but I think they're pretty good.
It's an interesting chain, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of like that chain. It's different.
Yeah, it's
got very sharp little pointy teeth and lots of them. So I'm going to show you guys this. This is this is the actual plunger that pushes this way against the rocking part of the timing chain. So this is basically the internals of the tensioner. So you can see that there's this tapered thing that goes down. It's got all these little notches right here, and there's a spring inside. So this whole thing goes inside of the timing tensioner housing. There's something in here that rides along this spiral. So when I push this in, it actually rotates like that. So as the chain stretches over time, this comes out, right? But it ratchets against these notches right here, so it can't go backwards. See, when it goes backwards, it stops. So that's how it's an auto tensioning chain. Well, if you've got a chain that's very stretched, this gets all the way out here like this, and it can't go any further. That's how you know your chain is way past due for replacement.
So these are the timing sprockets. These are pretty neat little pieces. A lot of work goes into them. You can tell by the coloring on them that they've been heat treated. The surface has been heat treated. They've also got the timing marks here for the chain, and what's neat is that these things are reversible. So if you flip them over, the mark and the keyway go in back in the same spot. So they're reversible. You can just, whichever way you want to put them on.
Mark both sides?
Yep.
That's sweet.
And it's the same for both of them. They're the same.
Oh.
Yeah, it just locks in there.
Turn it 90 degrees. This is just a slot, so that's cool. This camshaft rides right here. Obviously, they call it a bump stick. It's got these little lobes that push down the valves. If you've never seen this before, this is called a finger follower. So there's these little rockers. They've got a bearing right here, and then the other end of this just touches. So this touches the top of the valve stem. So the cam pushes down right here, and then the pivot is back here at the back. So this right here, this little unit that's just kind of hanging right here, is the lash adjuster. So I can't even physically squeeze it, which is good.
They pump up with oil.
So oil gets into this hole, and it fills in the cavity, which makes it an automatically adjusting. It adjusts the valve lash to be perfect every time.
It takes out any slop that'll happen as things wear.
Yep. So then this thing would sit in there, and that gets fed pressurized oil. Yeah, I always like this design.
And then this is the exhaust cam. It does have VCT on both sides, so that's what all of this is. It's the phaser sprocket. You see all the holes where the oil comes in and out to adjust the cam position. Oh, it even says E and yep, and I on says yep.
We can just go ahead and leave our finger followers in there and just take our bolts out, and then we should be able to pull this head right off. We gotta break this last one loose.
This one's got some RTV holding it in.
Yeah, because that's an external of the engine.
Yeah, because there's a seam right there.
Cool. Oh yeah, so see what these are? These, you actually have to make sure you don't RTV them. That's the oil feed. So that's how oil is able to go into and lubricate this. Which a lot of times it doesn't, because people just carelessly
there was a little bit
silicone everywhere.
A little bit of silicone got in those passages.
Yeah. You got to be very careful not to accidentally block off the oil to your high pressure fuel pump.
Yeah.
Or you'll ruin your cam and your pump.
And there's a return like right through here where it can go back in.
Yeah, it's got a giant drain back.
But yeah, that's definitely got RTV in those little channels.
And that was probably factory, so they've probably got a certain amount of leeway.
Yeah, on this on the high pressure fuel pump, that's for the direct injection system. So you have this 3-lobe on the end of the intake camshaft, and there's a roller inside there. It's a plunger that gets pushed up and down, and it pressurizes the fuel that goes to the rail that goes in the very bottom of this channel here. It goes to the high pressure injectors. Break these head bolts loose. It's weird working on a 6-cylinder because I'm expecting like 5 rolls of head bolts like there is on a V8, and there's only 4.
Oh. Looks like it's mostly got water in it. Right.
Hey, there's a little mouse nest in there.
Interesting. Oh wow, there is. Yeah, this is like a perfect place for mice to build nests because it's usually warm.
Okay, let's...
Pull the old gasket off of there.
God, it's so weird seeing small cylinders.
Yeah, this is a tiny little engine.
2.7 liters.
You'd be amazed how quick this thing was in my Fusion. And it's even crazier when you get it in the MKZ. It's slightly bigger. It's a 3-liter instead of a 2.7, and it makes 400 horsepower. Definitely not what you would expect from something this size. Can I throw this mouse nest in there too?
Yeah.
I hope there's none in it currently. Oh god.
Yep. Oh, it would suck to do the knock sensors on this engine.
Yeah, you gotta take the. You might as well do everything else.
Yeah, like take the heads off.
Do your main seal and everything.
Nice closed chamber design, or sorry, closed deck.
Closed deck.
Yeah, so it's got these parts of the casting bridging the cylinder wall to the rest of the block. So that's called a closed deck. And the guy we bought this from said that cylinder number 5, which is going to be this one right here, he said that had no compression. So that's why this engine was replaced. So we'll see what's underneath the head. Maybe that'll tell us what's wrong with it.
It's so awesome that they just said screw it and said we'll put direct and port injection on engines. It's probably great for the tuner community too, because then you don't really have to worry about upgrading your fuel system because you always have enough. All right, I'm gonna pop you loose somewhere. Let me see. Here's that side. Yeah. Before we show you what Billy found over there, let's just take a look real quick. You can plainly see this is actually what, cylinder 6?
Yep. So cylinder 6 was the
Cylinder
problem.
6 is 100% clean, which if you know anything about engines and engine problems, you'll know that when it's clean like that, that means it's been power washed.
So come over here. All right. So these are two very normal looking combustion chambers. 2 intake, 2 exhaust valves, spark plug goes there. That's your direct injection, the port for it coming from the direct injector. So very normal, very normal. Problem, that's a burnt valve.
Oh, wow. So that's on the exhaust side. Whenever you get something called a burnt valve, what that means is that this exhaust valve got very, very hot. And looks like
some of the seats burnt up too.
It either melted or it broke.
Or not the seat, but the casting around the seat kind of melted away too.
Yeah, you guys can see right there. That right there would definitely cause low compression because air can just go straight out.
And that's the exhaust. So basically, when the piston comes up to compress it, it's just all going to go right out the exhaust.
Interesting.
This piston was probably washed by the gasoline being shot in there.
Oh yeah, that's true. The other thing is that if the cylinder isn't firing and it's just seeing constantly fuel in there, that fuel will clean it off too. Dang.
Yep.
Either they got it super hot, like from continued boost from towing or something like that, and then either it melted this or it broke this. We're gonna have to try to pull this out and see. Yeah, that'll do it. That's
some of that metal is on the piston now.
Really?
Yeah. So they got a bunch of stuff etched on here. So some kind of a number, a diagram. That's a QR code. But so if you rub your finger across here, it's smooth, 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 and then gets like sandpaper right here.
Oh, get the vacuum cleaner. Oh wow.
Yeah, it's like sandpaper in the middle.
There's metal that has basically welded itself to the top of this piston right here. It looks like spatter from like weld. It's definitely what happened. So that cylinder got very hot, and it looks like it melted the valve.
Yeah,
so
maybe it ran low on coolant or something.
They might have ran it out of coolant. It might have just been towing for a very long time and they didn't take enough brakes and it overheated and they just kept going. There's a billion things that could have happened. That's that. All right, that's its own interesting thing. But now what we're gonna do is we're gonna show you guys the cool part about this engine, because what you can see right here is that this right here is rusty and this right here is not. It's all got that aluminum corrosion. And you can see there's these tiny little bolts right here on the outside. So this is actually a clamshell. That's how they make this engine very strong. It's actually a 2-piece block. So we're gonna take that apart. This is one of them quick release oil change plugs.
Oh, what's still oil in there?
They make it so that, you know what's crazy is it's not even like ridiculously black. It's got kind of an amber color to it.
Oil pan.
That's cool. It's plastic, and that actually goes into the oil pan.
Yep, that's the pickup. It's like they like glue it to the bottom of this.
Cool.
Yeah.
What is this thing? Is this the? Oh, the chain set. So that's cool.
The
so
belt, yeah. So it has a little bit of, it has a pocket to hold some oil there, so it's always lubricated.
This right here is like a reservoir for the belt area, and then this oily orange color thing you can see in the center or the bottom of the sump that goes straight into the oil pump. Pretty cool design. It's just made for centering it and holding it. Bloop. Kerplunk.
So that then picks up here, goes in there, and then it goes to the rest of the block.
Yeah. So this little spider webby guy right here, that's part of this bottom half. It has to come off.
It acts like it's like the girdle on my Honda, though.
It's like
the cap, yeah, because it does screw to the caps.
So so these right here are where it actually screws to the cap, which bolts to this underneath it here. That's a really cool design. It's probably super strong. The problem we're having right now is this the way our engine stand is set up. We have to try to support the heavy part, which is the iron part, which is also what's going to be left after we take this off. But we need to be able to put 3 of these 4 arms at least on this cast iron section.
Okay. Let me just make sure there is even a threads there. Yeah.
Pull the whole thing back. Just so you guys know, we are professionals.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Don't try this. You'll drop this, it'll break your foot. It'll hurt a lot, and you probably die. You don't want to die, so don't try this.
We're professionals at something. We didn't say this.
I guess technically, if we start making enough money that we get paid to do this, then we would be professionals. But that'll never happen. So they give us a nice little tab right here.
Mm-hmm.
And then go right here. There's another one right here. So there it is. That's the bottom half, the aluminum structure part of the 2.7 liter Ecoboost.
It's like some kind of alien rib cage or something.
It is really cool. What I was noticing, what I was talking about before, there's these little things that are in here. They line up with like the throws. It's got to be for oil control, but this in general is just another structural part, but it's lighter because it's aluminum, obviously, and that allows them to use less, of the harder metal.
That's like some kind of an iron alloy. They call it like compacted graphite iron.
Oh yeah, it's a CGI, compacted graphite iron. So that's got these very tall. The crankshaft itself is actually up from. Very cool. I like
boy, E-Torques.
Oh, sweet. Those are 12-point E-Torques.
No, these.
Oh, those are 6
those are 12 points. Those are the same as the head bolts.
Oh, okay.
12.15s.
They used E-Torques just for the rod bolts. Neat. That was where they do silicone the upper and lower together when they do this. But these things right here, these look like they're drain back holes from the heads. So that's how the oil drains back. Very cool design. I like that.
Something else kind of neat is that because this is all raised up above what would have been the skirt, like I can get to all these rod bolts. I don't need to like keep turning the crank over.
Oh yeah, we're not gonna have to sit there and hand crank them over to reach it. This is Billy's passion. He loves just mindlessly destroying engines. I mean, disassembling.
These are those like new style bearings that have like an orange surface on them. I guess this is like some new bearing There's some new kind of surface they put on these bearings now. Orange, very smooth. That was the clean one.
So that was our
Our problem
clean
one.
How's that bearing look on there?
That looks fine.
Oh, this is cool. So it's one of those offset. It's not a parallel. They offset the plane that they. These are the fraction broken. So in order to get a perfect seal, rather than machining them flat, they get these things really cold and they actually break them. That way they're perfectly matched and they're also uneven. So that makes them stronger once you clamp it down. Well, that bearing doesn't look bad at all.
Nope.
It's always cool to me when how they go together so perfectly because of the way they were cracked. Like they look broken, but that's because they literally are broken.
Yep. These are a lot littler than what we're used to.
Yeah, they're tiny. Very tiny.
There's nothing there to like stop it from spinning.
Yeah, well, wait, what the why are there no tabs? Hell?
Yeah, there's no tabs on these.
Dude.
That's strange.
What? Why would they make it like that?
Normally there'd be part of the bearing have a tab sticking out that sits in a groove that's machined in here so it can't spin. But these, I guess they just put them in there and hope they're good.
I guess they just don't care.
Yeah.
If they don't spin.
Like so much good stuff in here, and they're like, no.
They're like, we don't need normal bearings. Let's just not put a tab on them. Although, honestly, it must have worked pretty damn well. Let's see, none of them spun.
They heat treat them like halfway down. You can see the line where they like the upper half has been heat treated, darker color.
You're talking about the
rod, yeah.
Yeah, that's weird too. They stop heat treating it right down there.
I guess that's the end. It's going to get all the stress on it. Now, if you think that's weird, you're going to lose your mind over this next thing about these engines.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I'm ready to have my mind blown, Billy.
Are you sure about that? Are you sure about that?
Yeah.
Well, we're about to find out. Alright, are you ready for this? Split cranks. Or mains.
Oh, they split the mains too?
Yep.
That's awesome.
Now the mains have a tab on them.
The mains have tabs. What the hell?
Split mains. This is different.
That's awesome. I guess because they had this extra length in there, they were able to fracture split it. Mm-hmm. That's another benefit of that weird ass design. That's wild. What the hell? Kind of like it.
Oh man, they just rough cut this side. Like they don't. It's not hitting anything, so they don't care.
No. Dude, this spins so easy though. These bearings are awesome.
Yep.
I like the orange coating bearings. It's just crazy to me how many cars I've worked on for friends where I got the car and first thing I did was check the oil. Like I'm 56 years old or something. Like, oh, I just gotta check the oil, and then I get it. And it's 2.5 quarts low.
Yep.
And then I have to
at 6,000, 8,000 miles since last change.
Right. Been 15,000 miles. You can't just because if you run something low on oil, that's the first. Day. Yeah, that's the first thing that's gonna go is one of those rod bearings. It's cool that they label them.
This one doesn't have the orange coating where it's been worn away. This one did.
Well, now I'm very curious. This one also doesn't. This one does. Huh. Maybe the middle one.
Oh, there's your thrust one.
Oh, they put the thrust on the end. Ooh, that one's got some wear in one specific spot.
Yep. That's a crank.
Oh, and this one's also missing it. So I guess on the top side, it only wore off on the two middle ones, and on the bottom side, it wore off on these three.
Yeah, see.
This was the rear of the engine.
Yeah, these are the tabs we've been talking about on bearings right there.
Yeah, there's little tiny tabs that you're seeing that keep it from rotating.
And there's a tab right here, so the cap keeps them from spinning. Look at all this, like, there's like 3 different QR codes engraved on this crank.
Oh yeah, they've gotten real fancy with them QR codes on everything. Bring you guys in. You can see down in there. Right here, this is kind of cool. It's an oil squirter. There's only 3 of them. So they've got an oil squirter on each side fed by the same oil feed. Usually you have independent ones for each piston, but they don't have enough room in this. Yeah, this is cool. I like this little block.
Yeah.
The way they made this thing, pretty neat.
Even the bearings got QR codes on them.
I don't know if, I think some of these might not have had that coating.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It might just be
whatever they had available.
Ford needed certain ones to be coated, or
maybe they were like slowly introducing these into the engine lot, the factory. I don't know.
Whatever it is, I like that coating because it seems to work pretty well. And these bearings look mint. I mean, they're clean. Not only are they clean, they're very thick.
You still have all the cross hatching.
Let's see. Turn that light in there. Oh yeah, they do. Do the next one. Oh yeah. Nothing but crosshatch. That's good.
Like it came off the line.
Well, it's pretty much new. There's somebody.
I think it had like a
with it.
110 or 140,000 what the guy said miles on it.
Bad.
All right, well, cool.
Cool. So, 2.7 liter Ecoboost V6.
Pretty stout. I'm impressed by that.
Yeah, we liked what we found on this one with the fractured main caps and fractured rod caps and
iron core thing.
This iron core thing looks super strong. I mean, this is a less than 3 liter engine, and they're making 400 something foot-pounds of torque out of it. Like, it's pretty sweet. So
yeah, I mean, they put this in the F-150 with the 10 speed and like a 373 gear, and people were towing with it. So.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a tow capable engine. So
yeah, somehow it just got really hot in that one cylinder.
Melted a valve.
Cool.
So all right.
Well, thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you on the next video.